What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Bills Chat Live here every Wednesday, previewing the Bills' upcoming matchup. I am Josh McCarty. With me, as always, is Luka. Luka, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. Doing good. I'm honestly feeling pretty good. It's been a nice, easy as it can be week going back to work in reality that this week has been for me personally. But I will say a lot of thoughts on what's going to be happening and what we're going to be discussing tonight, this coming weekend, because there's just so many things about this game that both affect the Bills, but I think today I saw a lot of like playoff elimination scenarios for other teams and things like that. Bills Patriots is truly a pivotal game for a lot of teams. Like there is a world that the Kansas City Chiefs are officially eliminated after this weekend, Josh. And the only matchup that feels like more of that coin toss in that reality is actually Bills Patriots, and they need to see the Patriots over the Bills, for instance. So this matchup being a 1:00 is great in my opinion, and then two, it being so crucial for so many teams, whether they are still alive in the playoff race, whether they're eliminated, and then also for the Bills themselves, whether they are just fully locked in and accepting the wild card, or even maybe still have that outsider's chance at the division. It's all there in front of them with this game. Very, very excited for Sunday to come to watch this one.
So let's start there. How big is this game? Because on the surface, it feels like a massive game. Because if the Patriots win, they win the division. It's a hat and t-shirt game, and it ends the Bills' streak of 5 straight division titles. We all understand that. That to me is the headline. But when you drill down to the actual article, how much does it really matter to the Bills? If you're like me, you have given up on the division. And if the Bills somehow find their way to the division title, it will be the ultimate bonus. But that is going to come with help from either the Jets, who are trending towards starting Brady Cook at quarterback this week, or the Dolphins, who have shown life as of late. So maybe that does tip the scales a little bit. But that's what the Bills would need. As someone in my seat who doesn't necessarily still feel like the division is within reach, I don't look at this as the massive game that I think a lot of Bills fans do. Do I want to see the Patriots celebrate a division title at the Bills' demise? It's not going to make me lose any sleep. I want the Bills to win the game. I hope that's painfully obvious to everybody that watches this show. I want them to win the game. This does not feel like a season-defining game to me, though, Luka. How are you feeling?
No, season defined. So the funniest part about this, and maybe I tipped my hat a little bit as to where my thoughts are on this game. I feel like the impact of this game, as strange as it may sound, is least with the Bills. I think this game matters more to the Patriots, although in respect to Vrabel as well, I don't think Vrabel gives a flying shit about situation of it all. Like he's going to be like, hey, we won our division. That's great. We're moving on, because that's how Vrabel was brought up in the NFL. That's the mentality it feels like he always has. He understands the gravity of winning your division when it comes to what that does for you in the playoffs, and that's what's important to him. The hat and t-shirt stuff is secondary in that regard. But I think the game for them is even a little bit more so that they can officially get over that line. And then on top of it all, I think it just matters more for, Dolphins, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the other teams in that hunt situation that truly need to see the Patriots win this game for them and help their chances if they still exist, which they do for those teams right now. I think the Bills, when it comes to the entirety of the season, have the opportunity to stay alive in a multitude of things, whether it's for the division, you even add in the sprinkle of the 1 seed in there, or just understand that losing this game drops them in that wild card race, but still be very solid in that race itself. It's one of those things where I think it'll just be a good, what's the phrase I want to go for? A heat check, litmus test, whatever you want to call it, for the Bills to just truly understand where they currently at this week and where they will be needing to get to moving forward to hopefully make a run like they want to year in, year out. So I think the importance of this game might exist the most for everyone but the team in the locker room. I think they just are looking at this truly as another week, a good test, something that they can truly try to continue to build up momentum to then keep a run going as they hopefully get to the postseason, as they should at this moment in time, and keep it rolling at that point. But I think the greater things that can come from this game, whether it's maintaining themselves in the division, ultimately losing it, whatever else with that, I think it's very secondary to the Bills, and just the sense of, hey, it's 1-0 each week, 1 week at a time, whatever cliche you want to attach to it. That is the reality for the Bills right now, because unfortunately for them, they dug the hole that they're currently sitting in. So they just need to live in the reality that they don't control their own destiny with a lot of this. And they just need to keep playing the best that they can and just see how the chips fall as they may.
Roy Collins chiming in. Always appreciate Roy here. Under McDermott, this team has never been swept by a divisional rival. Let's not start now. I've seen this stat flying around today. I think I heard it on WGR. That's just simply not true. I'm not blaming you, Roy. I've seen it.
It's not. 2019, the Patriots swept the
and
Bills.
2017 and 2018. So it has to be since 2020. I mean, that's got to be the stat. But I've heard people reference 8 years, and it's just no. I mean, it's when the Bills got good in 2020, like really good. And then your point's right. Then from that point on, the only team to ever beat the Bills twice in one season is the Chiefs, who beat them in the regular season, the COVID year, and then the conference championship game. But Roy, I get your point. I'm not trying to nitpick yet, but I've heard that several times today. Was wondering where that came from. But yeah, I think there's a pride factor. You don't want to be, you don't want to get swept by the Patriots. I think it's interesting you said the hole they've dug themselves in, because I'm quite comfortable in this hole right now. I like where the Bills are sitting, assuming that this season plays out like it looks like it's going to play out. You and I both came into this season. Oh, there you go. Roy clarified it. 8-0. So maybe that's what it is. Awesome. Thanks, Roy, for chiming in. So maybe that's the stat. 8-0 when they've lost the first one. Okay.
There you go.
I like where the Bills are at, because we're sitting in a world where Lamar Jackson is trending toward not making the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs are on life support, and you just buried Joe Burrow's Bengals last week. So we are going to be at a point where no matter who the Bills play in the AFC, you're going to have a massive quarterback advantage. Say what you want to about Drake May, who has been excellent. His next playoff start will be his first playoff start. Nick Wright, who I think gets labeled as a Bills hater because he's a Chiefs fan, actually said it'll be a colossal disaster if the playoffs shape up the way they're looking and the Bills don't make the Super Bowl because there's no Lamar, Joe Burrow, or Patrick Mahomes in there. I do tend to agree with that, despite the fact that I think many of us would agree this is not the most fully formed Bills team that we've seen in this run since 2020. But as far as this game goes, Luka, I feel like maybe the way I've been talking is like I'm setting myself up to be like, well, the Patriots are going to win, and I'm just trying to cope. I know we're going to do predictions at the end of the show. I love the Bills' chances in this game. I absolutely love the Bills' chances. I know the Patriots are coming off of a bye. I know the Patriots are healthier than the Bills, despite the fact that they are missing Will Campbell, and that is a massive, massive loss. But I love the way the Bills are playing. I do think, it sounds like I'm being fanboy. I think the Bills more so gave away that game against the Patriots earlier in the year than the Patriots did take it. But I feel great about the Bills' chances in this game. What's your early read on this before we start diving into specific matchups?
I think the outsider whole look of it is it wouldn't be surprising to most, and I think you even see it with currently how the public's betting this game, that the Patriots will take this one once again. I think there's a lot to look at when it comes to Drake May's season, which has been a great one. It's been worthy of being in the MVP conversation. There's so many metrics and stats that back that up, and the flowers are deserved. What I will say is, though, when you truly start looking at it, and I think the comparison between where both these teams are now comparatively to where they were in that week 5 Sunday night matchup, there's a couple things that kind of give you question as to how the Patriots truly won that game, and or can they duplicate that result again this week. And I do tip lean the way that you are when it comes to, as great as the the Patriots played. I mean, Drake May went 22 of 30, 270 plus yards, efficient as all could be. That's great, but it was, how do I put this? They were put into good positions, but then even on top of it, it's like they didn't have to necessarily earn their touchdowns. It felt like as much as they needed to get that result. There was a couple big plays Drake May needed to make a couple things happen for them, but also the Bills turned it over 3 times. Josh Allen fumbling it once, threw a pick in there as well, and then I believe it was also Keon Coleman, I want to say, fumbled the ball. There was a lot of just messy, dirty football going on with the Bills. They didn't have a run game that was going like right now. There's just a lot of things that made it feel like the Bills, even at 4-0 at the time, just weren't clicking on all cylinders. Things weren't right. And we obviously saw as the season progressed that truly spoke itself into fruition. And that was truly what was going on. We've been frustrated watching it week in, week out. The sprinkle on top to me is the Patriots have been a great run defense up until Milton Williams went down, and all of a sudden they've become very mid. They've become very average run defending. So from there, that doesn't necessarily mean they're the worst against the run, but when you compare the Bills' rush offense to where it was then and now, and then also compare where the run defending for the Patriots was then to now, I think the scale is tipping in another direction here. That it just, the peek under the hood tells me the result should favor the Bills if you really want to understand things, assuming both teams play a cleaner game. And that is always obviously the differentiator. If one side is just not clean with the ball, if they're throwing picks, if they're losing control of the ball and fumbles because of the weather, whatever, that will, of course, change things completely. We've seen that both in positive and negative ways for the Bills, even just this season. But the Patriots game in that random warm October day in Buffalo, they deserved to win, but at the same time, I don't think they won that game. It was more so the Bills losing it. And looking back, comparing the losses for the Bills this season, that might be the most that I just look at and I go, it truly felt like the Bills did everything they could to lose that game. I know the Miami one also comes to mind in there, but I don't know. There's something about that game where it's like, I don't even think the Bills played too awful as well. I mean, Josh Allen, 22 of 31, 250. Like the stats feel like, okay, that's an average, decent game, but it just bad turnovers at bad moments or bad field positions and just not doing themselves a service. Whereas the Patriots just went on with their business, didn't screw things up themselves and just got the thing done in the end for themselves. That was what got them that 3-point win in October.
Roy wants to know if James Cook's recent fumble tendencies worry you at all. I guess a little bit. I mean, he's fumbled in the last 2 games, lost fumbles, and then he actually fumbled twice on the same drive last game, which I think the first fumble was just a boneheaded play. I'm very happy James Cook got to learn that lesson with a do-over. Don't ever reach for the goal line unless it's like the last play of the game. The second fumble just feels like a great play by the defense. He had 2 hands on the ball. The defense just punched it out. And I'm trying to remember even the situation with the fumble against the Steelers.
It was his knee. So it's the one where Herbig hits him in the unintentional area that hurts, and he then knees the ball out of his own hands.
Yeah, I'm not overly worried about it, Roy, to be honest. I mean, there's a lot I think that you can be worried about with the Bills offense. If it continues, sure. And, the worst thing you can get as a running back in this league is a reputation as a fumbler, because then teams will start trying to punch it out. But in general, I think that's probably not something to worry about. Aren't you worried about Phillip Rivers? Colts can still be contenders. I love Phillip Rivers. I really do. I don't know that I expect him to take the field, because my guess is he's just there to be a mentor for what they have going on. But, I mean, can you imagine coming back to reset your Hall of Fame clock by 7 years to play the Seahawks, the Texans, the Niners, and the Jags? But, hey, I mean, Colts got to do what they got to do. Their season's falling apart, unfortunately, because of injuries. All right, Luka, I've been looking at this Patriots team, trying to find some weaknesses, because I still look at them and I don't see a special roster. So I was like, all right, I'm going to dive into some stats. Maybe they are just fantastic at turnover differential. Nope. They're +1. The Bills are -1. They're right in the middle of the league. Okay. Maybe they don't shoot themselves in the foot, like those plays that kill drives, where it's drive killing sacks. Nope. Drake May's in the top 5 in the league of taking sacks. That is something you can do to him. Maybe not the Bills, but some teams. So I'm looking at this and I see that he is top 5 in the league at taking sacks. I see that Will Campbell is out. He's on IR. And my immediate thought is I feel like we've done this song and dance a lot this season where the Bills get an advantageous matchup on the offensive line, whether it's the Houston Texans, the Miami Dolphins, the Steelers were down their left tackle, Broderick Jones. They did get a good pass rush that game. But in general, it feels like we come on the post-game show and say the pass rush really didn't show up. And that has been the case since about mid-October. How concerned are you right now about the Bills pass rush, or is it as simple as how healthy is Joey Bosa?
I don't think it's a direct correlation to Joey Bosa. If I wanted to be glass half full in this conversation when it comes to pass rush and try to provide hope for those out there, there could be some success in getting Drake May down. One thing is Drake May is still young and seems to have a tendency to hold onto the ball to try to truly create and make plays. It's been working the most it has for the most part for him this season. But where the glass half full on this is that last matchup, Josh, can you tell me how many sacks the Bills had on the end of the night?
Do you have the stock?
I have it up. I have it up. No, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna recreate the game in my head. So Hoyt wasn't back yet.
Nope.
Oliver would have been out because that was early in the season.
Correct.
I don't remember Rousseau doing much of anything, so I'm going to say 2.
It was 4. Rousseau had a sack and 2 tackles for a loss for himself and 3 QB hits. They had a total of 4 sacks. One of those was also from Cole Bishop, mind you, and this is before he truly broke out in some people's minds, although it might be right after as well, since the Saints game was the one that preceded this one. But they were able to pressure Drake May a lot. They had 8 QB hits, 4 ended in sacks. They were in the backfield a lot. And what's funny is I remember that. I remember being in the stands thinking to myself, holy shit, this team is in the backfield a lot. And the problem was Drake May just made enough plays, even when there was pressure on him, to get the chains moving and eventually get over the line. There was a crucial, I want to say it was a 3rd down to Diggs that he hit, rolling out to his right, that I think he evaded 2 separate tacklers at that moment in time in order to inevitably get the space, hit Diggs, and essentially seal the game. So it's one of those things where, yeah, there you go. You got the DQ 3rd down play. Boom. So it's one of those things where I actually go into this game because there's a proven track record to it, Josh, that I actually think and Joey Bosa, mind you, had none of those sacks, and he actually only had 1 tackle, and it wasn't even for the loss. So Joey Bosa, I'm sure his impact was there. I'm not discrediting it without looking at it, but I don't think it's a direct correlation for one. And this might be one of those situations where I actually am encouraged by the potential of what could come from the pass rush and from getting into the backfield. On top of all of that, I think that there's something going on defensively, Josh, where we saw the 3rd down or rear its ugly head against the Bengals. But when it gets to crunch time, the last few weeks for this defense, and even in those bad losses, the Atlanta one comes to mind and stuff. The one thing that you can honestly lean on with this team is they do seem to create the opportunities to get it back to the offense more than not. They do seem to capitalize on certain situations, and getting these turnovers of very recent has been finally that like tip back to where they were when they were rattle off wins, where it's, hey, we didn't acknowledge how much they were bending throughout those games because they were just getting those turnovers time and time again. And now that's the ball's starting to bounce their way once again. You got all these other individuals in the secondary that are really truly humming again. That I honestly have a positive feeling about this team going into New England and having a formidable pass against Drake May and being able to get him on the ground at a somewhat regular occurrence. And I don't think it has to do with anything related to the Patriots offensive line health, because that week 5 game, they were, for all of intents and purposes, healthy. So now you're just going up against different individuals, and common logic would tell me that that should result in even worse play out of their offensive line. Now, as you said, to beat a dead horse, it feels like when it becomes more opportunistic, it actually reduces the ability to rush the passer. That could be because offenses adjust themselves and just are telling their quarterback, hey, 1.5 seconds, get rid of that damn ball. Do not hold on to it. There's a message being laid out there that's like, hey, we can't afford to extend plays. We can't afford to hold on to the ball. It just will not work with this current offensive line. That's there, I'm sure. But I feel pretty good. I mean, with Rousseau, if Bosa's playing, I mean, Daquan Jones somehow is all of a sudden not a shell of himself and is actually formidable and serviceable, I guess would be the way to put it. And where I get with that is he was kind of like, I wasn't even excited to see Daquan Jones out there. At least now it's like, well, I know you're not going to get negative plays out of Daquan Jones anymore. You're not going to get the things we saw 2-3 seasons ago, but you're at least not going to get massive negative plays. And I think all of those things together encourage me when it comes to this week and allowing them to just get at it and hopefully find success in getting Drake May uncomfortable.
There was a point of time in this season where it felt like the Bills couldn't cover, they couldn't tackle, they couldn't stop the run, and they couldn't rush the passer. And that is not hyperbole. That is how it felt many times. I feel sitting here today with the development of Cole Bishop, with what I think has been improvement from Tre'Davious White from earlier in the year, with continued development out of Max Harrison, and Jordan Poyer just absolutely playing head and shoulders better than Taylor Rapp and head and shoulders better than I thought he could play. To me, Jordan Poyer is playing at almost a baseline starter level, which is so much more than you could ask for in 2025. I feel good about their secondary. I feel good about their coverage. Shaq Thompson's been back for 2 games. I don't want to say that he is the reason why their run game has improved, but in the last 2 games, they held Jaylen Warren to 3.5 yards per carry and held Chase Brown to under 2 yards per carry. And it could just be as simple, again, not exaggeration, as a linebacker not running to the spot that he's not supposed to be in. The Bills have had so many second-level defenders this year run themselves out of plays that Shaq Thompson just understanding where he's supposed to be and being at that contact point has shored up the defense. So now I'm saying I feel better about their coverage. I feel better about their run defense, the spine of the defense. All of that is to say, I don't believe in their pass rush until Joey Bosa's back and maybe Ed Oliver comes back as a playoff bonus. Found money in the couch cushion. That would be great. I wonder if the Bills will start to make more of a philosophical shift on defense, where maybe they start to blitz more. You can't get pass rush by just rushing 4. We know Dorian Williams has a very strong ability to blitz. We know Taron Johnson can blitz. Christian Benford has shown a great ability to blitz. Matt Milano, for as long in the tooth as he looks, is still a very good blitzer. And Cole Bishop has blitzed well this season. You look at the season, the Bills blitz around 21% of the time. That's 28th in the league. Last week against the Bengals, they blitzed 27% of the time. I just wonder at this point on defense, make it chaotic. The worst thing you can do on defense right now is stay on the field for 10 minutes of game time and then give up a touchdown. If you're going to give up a score, do it trying to blitz and giving up a 1-play touchdown to Stephon Diggs that goes 60 yards and you get burned. And now Josh Allen's on the field and we only lost a minute of game time. Let's do it up again. Let our offense take the field. I think this defense needs to take more chances to become like a baseline championship level defense that this Bills team needs them to be. And I just wonder if we're going to see them start to do that maybe even this week.
I love the point of, well, if you're just going to concede, do it in a quick manner. It's basically flipping the script on its head and being like, well, if we can't control them at all on defense, let's just try to control it as best as we can when it comes to getting our offense back on the field. That philosophy feels so backwards to a lot, I feel like, but it actually makes so much sense. It's the classic thought, even in a tight situation where, when you find yourself they're in and goal situation. And you're like, just let them score. Like that whole philosophy where people are like, excuse me, where they're confused why you would just simply let them score. And it's like, well, it feels inevitable at this point, whatever it is, maybe you're out of timeouts, whatever the situation calls for, just let them score so that you can maximize time, that you can control the outcome of the game with your offense instead. Makes all the sense in the world then. Well, now you're just stretching it over 60 minutes effectively. And it's like, if you're not finding success in what you want to do defensively, screw it, cause chaos. Because now you're just doing a simple gamble, risk, reward. And either the reward is you're creating turnover, sacks, and quick turnarounds on drives. And the risk of it all is, well, maybe you'll concede a quick score. Guess what? That's better alternative than allowing a 8 to 10 minute drive, pounding it down your throat, and eventually they score. And it's like, well, now I only have a minute and a half to drive down the field with Josh Allen and score a touchdown and get a 2-point conversion or whatever the situation is. It's like that you just got a dry pot here. It's the best way to handle this if you're just not able to do things with the personnel you currently have. And I do believe that's where this Bills defense is. And on top of it, I think they recognize that, Josh. I think the numbers back it up. And kind of when you are watching this team, when you watch them against the Bengals, when you watch them against the Steelers, you can sense that creative pressures are becoming more and more of a thing. It's not your typical 4-down lineman and coverage. You can tell that there's something else going on now on the defensive scheme side. You see the benefits of it all, where Christian Benford comes in completely blind, to the point of Joe Burrow, one of the best quarterbacks in the game, especially pre-snap and then also post-snap, recognizing things, had no idea it was coming. That to me spoke volumes, in the sense of, we are doing things that even the best don't or can't even conceptualize or recognize pre-snap, because it's not something they would expect. So from there, I think that will probably trend itself through the remainder of the season, where it's like, just throw it at them. Just do the things. Just whatever you have to do to create chaos. The worst outcome of this is we're getting the ball back to our offense quicker. The best outcome is you're creating turnovers, you're creating chaos, and you're getting the ball back to your offense in a better position, and or creating points that your defense is scoring themselves. I mean, case in point, everything we saw last week, essentially. So that, I also believe, is part of the thing reasons we saw what we did on third downs effectively against the Bengals, Josh. I don't know what the numbers show. They sat back and covered sometimes, and it just wasn't effective. And then even when they throw the house, Burrow was good enough to dice it up and find the open man, or find, the quick out of whatever he needed to pick up that yardage. That's what you get, though, when you do something like this. It's like, hey, make a quick decision happen. And either you're going to win in the outcome, or you're going to probably give up a big play and continue that drive. And you're just going to live with that, because they are either going to score quick or you're going to get the ball back quick. There is no other alternative to this. And the best thing that can happen for you as the Bills is get the ball back to 17 as quickly as possible. That is the end game. That is what you need to do. And then from there, when you have the ball offensively, you can do what you can to control the outcome with your offensive line, with James Cook, with Josh Allen, and everything in between the numbers that we saw this team do so well against the Bengals, against the Steelers, and so on and so forth. That is the formula of success for this team throughout the remainder of this season.
I want to get into matchups, players on the Patriots we have to look out for. Christian Gonzalez is an excellent cornerback. Did he not play in the first match? No, he did. He
did. He just came back.
Okay. Yeah. So they were relatively fully healthy. But I'm going to ask you 3 questions. The third one's the long one. The first 2, you can just give me one word, yes or no. If the Bills lose this game, will they make the playoffs?
Yes.
If the Patriots lose this game, will they still win the division?
Yeah, most likely.
Okay. I would agree with you. Knowing those 2 things are true, that the outcome of this game will probably not tip the scales dramatically for the Bills' playoff seeding, playoff fate. Let's create a scenario. I don't know if this is true or not. Let's say Sean McDermott and Bobby Babbitt have been watching Drake May all season long, since that first game. Like, man, he's really good. We need to start looking at him like Mahomes, as a guy that we got to start thinking about we're going to see in January. And let's say they've cooked up something for a special strategy, whatever it is, to stop Drake May, that they think is really the elixir, the way to really slow him down. Not too dissimilar from the way we saw them play the Chiefs a couple 6 games ago now, where they had the 4 rushing defensive linemen. Then they had Michael Hoyt kind of hovering as like an interior rusher, and then a delayed blitz. And it really threw the Chiefs for a loop. And my first reaction was, wow, that's awesome. Wish you would have saved that for January. Are we at a point with the Patriots where if they have this trick up their sleeve that we don't know if they do, that you want to see the Bills do it this week to give themselves the best opportunity to win? Or recognizing that this is a team that could very well stand in your way in January, probably in New England, whichever way this game goes this Sunday, would you save that in your bag and not give them the chance to see it?
Can I have a little bit of both? Now, you're basically, can you do it or can you not do it? And obviously you can't do both of those things. What I mean by can I have both is find 1 or 2 moments where it's like, let's try this out. Let's use this as active practice. The best form of practice there possibly could be. You are quite literally facing the opponent you think you have this thing for, and whatever it is. And let's say it's a 3rd and 12, 3rd and long. And you're like, let's try this out. And you now get to test it. And you do that once in the first half. Or you know what? I'd probably reserve any of these things for the second half because you just don't want them to have the first half kind of review situation session that they most likely will be. Respect a lot of the offensive coaches over there. They will recognize things as quickly as possible. So from there, it's like you find a couple moments, 1 or 2 moments where it's like, let's try this out. Let's throw for a loop. Let's see if it works or not. Where I think that's valuable is 1, it could hopefully maybe help influence the outcome of this game for you, which there's never a bad time to win a game, Josh.
Right.
Period. End of story.
Unless it's August. We've covered that.
Right. And 2, you put it on tape just enough where it's like, is this a one-off thing or is this something and you haven't given them a trend? It's not to the extent of what you saw against the Chiefs, right? It's one of those things where you almost put that in their brain. You put that on tape and you put that out there in the world, Josh. And from there, you let them decide if that's what we're going to do heavily or not. And then on top of it, if this matchup were to get to a 3rd in this season, now you truly have the kind of, we can or cannot do this. And then you're going to actually potentially create questions as to what they should do to attack you. That it's the ultimate chess match situation. You don't want to go all in 2 feet in on anything like that. That's going to be like, this is now what we believe is going to create chaos because you're now giving them just too much tape and information for them to, bounce back, figure it out and stuff like that. And it makes them feel like you're comfortable in doing that. Now you've just, lack of a better term, blown your wad on what you were trying to do on that. If you do it once or twice, just sprinkle it in there, you create doubt, you create confusion, you create questioning and stuff like that, that if you're trying to ultimately use this as a chess match moment, it could be something that truly works out for you in the long run as well.
I hear you for sure. Knocks May out for the rest of the year. Holy cow. No, I'm not
Greg Williams.
Okay. What did he say? If you cut the head off the steak, the rest will die. It's like, wow, that's an unfortunate way to be caught on tape. Bye career. The Patriots themselves were notorious for this back in the Brady Belichick era. They would get to the playoffs and I almost went Jim Moore. They get to the playoffs and see that you had never seen before. I remember some tackle eligible plays where they'd throw the ball to, I wish I could remember his name, the son of, I can't remember. So the son of some like great jet that played guard for the Patriots, Andruzzi, I think. But there was even a scheme they ran against the Colts where they didn't have any down linemen. They just hovered linebackers and they just kind of walked around the line of scrimmage so Manning couldn't identify who was what position. And then at the snap, they all ran to their position. It was creative. But yeah, there is an argument to be made. Like, let's see if it works. Maybe the parallel to the Michael Hoyt strategy is maybe you don't do it with Michael Hoyt. Like maybe the Bills try the strategy, but let's throw Dorian Williams out there and see if it works. But maybe we don't show them just how good Michael Hoyt is at it. But the Bills felt like they had to win a game in that scenario. I get it. They felt like they could bury the Chiefs. And we do know that this is a team that does not want to go to Arrowhead in the playoffs. So being the Chiefs in the regular season is a big deal. It's just something I've been thinking about. I give McDermott a lot of credit. I know people think that he just goes out there and calls the same defense over and over again. It's just simply not true. He has a very good track record against young quarterbacks. I fully believe that in his mind, right or wrong, he has a way that he thinks can slow down Drake May. And I just am curious. I'll never know the answer to this, is if he would utilize it this week or if he would save it for a potential playoff matchup. So that's the stuff that we'll never know the answer to, but I'm just fascinated to see if the Bills would be interested in playing the long game a little bit. I think I would lean that way. All right, Luka, which side of the Patriots scares you more, offense or defense?
Offense.
Because they're going against our defense?
Twofold. Both their offense is the better side of the team, in my opinion, just as a collective unit. And then, yes, it's more of a mismatch comparatively.
Okay, and in that regard, outside of the quarterback, is there a certain player you're thinking about, or is it more about the collective? I look at the Patriots, I see a bunch of good players. Hunter Henry is a good player. Stephon Diggs is still a good player. I think Ramondre Stevenson should not be getting the lion's share of the carries, but hey,
no.
Thank you so much for that, because this explosive rookie behind him seems like he could hit a home run every time he touches the ball. Maybe they're saving him for January, which would make sense. Rookie wall, keep him fresh, whatever. But man, that to me doesn't make any sense.
No.
Not that I had any stock in him in fantasy, by the way. Mac Hollins is a useful player, but is there one specific player, one specific play type? Is it that electric rookie running back I just mentioned? I know you're in love with. Who is it?
I won't say Travion Henderson, only because they refuse to utilize him as a 1A option. What I will say is how they use Hunter Henry as a tight end pass catching threat. I feel like every time you watch a Patriots game, Hunter Henry is just open on crucial downs all the time. And I think that's a McDaniels staple. I think there's levels to it and reasoning to it that is just, it makes sense when you truly just understand who the Patriots are, who calls the plays, and what they're trying to achieve. Hunter Henry is the guy that's like, it's frustrating because I don't think Hunter Henry is anything truly special, but at the same time, he does exactly the job that's asked of him and does it at a high enough level that he is always their kind of go-to crucial guy. There's a reason I've made a significant amount of money on his anytime touchdown lines. There is a reason that if you look at the Patriots and you watch their games passively, you will notice that a lot of crucial situations, the ball is either going to Stephon Diggs or it's going to Hunter Henry. And I think with that in mind, Hunter Henry's, if you want me to give you a person, just a singular player, he would be the one that I circle and just be like, there's definitely an opportunity for him to capitalize against the Bills. But then also I will say the Patriots receiving core as a whole is kind of just like a slight bump up from the Bills. And it's frustrating because obviously there's, as you mentioned, Mac Hollins, there's Stephon Diggs, players that used to be here in their own light. But then like Kayshon Boutte and Demario Douglas do great jobs for them and understand and make big plays for Drake May for him when he needs to make them, and they will come down with it whenever those times are. So I just think they do a really good job at being efficient when it's asked upon for whatever their job is as a whole, that I respect their receiving core enough to understand that as a collective, it works great. I think when you look at the Patriots receiving, it's like, it's sad to sit here as a Bills fan and be a little envious of what they have, because I feel like in a perfect world, that's what, Brandon Beane's sitting there wishing he had. He had inexpensive options across the board that can collectively create a great outcome week in, week out consistently. And instead, he did the polar opposite and has a bunch of mosh posh items that just don't know what the hell they're doing on the boundary at all times. They are as inconsistent as possible. So, it's this receiving core for the Patriots is even a step up from the one that inevitably got Josh Allen as MVP last season, in my opinion, as well. I respect Kayshon Boutte. I respect Demario Douglas. I think they have some pop to them. I mean, Stephon Diggs still has
pop Douglas.
Stephon Diggs still has a little bit of wiggle to him as well to create that separation and get space for Drake May to throw into windows. It all exists for them there, that I think it's the chemistry of it all, the everything that they have done offensively just mixes so well that it's not truly that surprising that we're seeing the outcome that we have through the collective of the season for the Patriots and how efficient they've been and how much success Drake May has had, because of everything built around him. It's nothing flashy and superstar built, but it all as a collective is something that mixes very, very well together.
Diggs is interesting because I think we all remember he came to Buffalo. Was that week 5? And week 5 it was after the Saints game. So week 5 and put on a show. But a lot of that, when you look at Diggs this season, he's played almost exactly 50% of his snaps in the slot. So I think any idea of having Christian Benford shadow him becomes trickier. But in the week 1 matchup, Diggs found himself on Tre'Davious White a lot. I said he's played 50% of his snaps in the slot. In the week 5 matchup, he played 66% of his snaps out wide. And there were a lot of those on Tre'Davious White. I do think that, that to me really comes down to what do the Bills think about Diggs? Do they value him enough? Last week, it was obvious. You send Benford where Chase is. This week, I don't know if, despite what he did in week 5, if Diggs is worth a shadow or if you just kind of play your side. I think that's a good question because Butte can get behind you in a way that Diggs can't anymore. So I think that'll be interesting. Hunter Henry is the guy I thought of as well because I do think that we are seeing massive 5-alarm fire, red alert regression out of Taron Johnson when it comes to coverage. You and I have been on this for a while. It was something that we were even hesitate to say out loud on the air because it was like everybody loves Taron Johnson, including us. We love the Baltimore pick 6. He is not good in coverage anymore, and that is an understatement. He's a liability out there. And I think nickel corner is going to be very high on the Bills' needs this offseason. I put out a tweet today that I think the 3 biggest needs for the Bills this offseason are going to be wide receiver, nickel corner, and linebacker. And it stinks that Brandon Beane restructured Taron Johnson right before the trade deadline only to do nothing. That one will need to be explained to me. But then we even saw Cam Lewis struggle with Mike Gesicki last week. So I don't really know what the answer is for an athletic tight end, although I do take comfort in the fact, Luka, that the Bills historically don't struggle with tight ends. So I'm not going to just assume they're going to start struggling now. But I do think that whether it's Diggs in the slot or Taron Johnson on Hunter Henry, I think Taron Johnson is starting to get a reputation as the guy that teams are just going to go after.
1,000%. I think that has been very evident for a large chunk of this season. Taron Johnson's play has gotten to a point and a level, Josh, where the value of staying in nickel and the value of having him out there on the field regularly just doesn't exist. It's like if you're going to have such poor coverage out of a guy like Taron Johnson, and yes, he's a willing tackler who has done a great job over his career being kind of that big nickel and getting in the dirty areas and stuff like that, but he can be rolled over, and that had always been there even at his peak. Linebacker out there for me. Just put have Milano out there with Shaq Thompson and Dorian Williams. Like, just do something for me that is just eliminating that equation, and at least you have bigger bodies out there who are going to probably, for all of intents and purposes, provide you similar coverage ability as Taron Johnson. I think I don't want to give up on him entirely because, he's still our best nickel option at this moment. And there's going to be plenty of times that you need to be in a true nickel defense in order to achieve whatever you're trying to do defensively against certain teams. This could be one of those weeks. As you said, Diggs is out there. I don't want Dorian Williams lined up on Diggs. Like, that sounds like an absolute disaster, but
probably wouldn't go well.
Yeah. But at the same time, if you're seeing a little bit heavier sets and stuff, there is no more benefit in staying in nickel. That reality is, that ship has sailed. That is gone. And now you truly need to match, hats for hats and packages for personnel and so on and so forth. Like that, there is no more need to just sit in your nickel and be happy, and you can then build off of that from there. It's that day has long gone until you figure out what Hancock can do with more time. Cam Lewis, if he can figure it out again, as you mentioned, though, he has struggled a little bit of late comparative to what you normally get out of him, and or you draft a replacement entirely. It would have been nice to have like a Jahdae Barron, although not that he's been, being crazy in Denver or anything, but he could be that effective nickel replacement for you. It's just one of those things where Taron Johnson is at the point of his career where your true value of being a regular every down player is no longer there. So you are just now part of the group and you are part of the personnel packaging. And you are just, hey, if we're seeing 13 personnel out there, you're going to get thrown out there. Or sorry, you're not going to get thrown out there. If we're seeing 11 personnel, then you'll get your name called. Like that's what you're going to have in this relationship moving forward. You are no longer a must play kind of guy. And just moving forward, if the Patriots are wanting to play a physical, run game in this one, I don't expect a lot of Taron Johnson. If they are going to come out in 11 personnel and put Diggs in the slot a lot and stuff, you're probably going to see a good amount of Taron Johnson. But at the same time, as you pointed out to start this whole thing, you're probably going to get targeted a lot as well. That's just where you are.
Don't mind me. I was just looking to see how much slot Darius Slay had played in his career. The answer is not much, and the other answer is it probably doesn't matter anyway. So just checking into it. I don't know about Darnell Savage, though. That was a guy that was a first-round pick not too long ago. The Bills snagged him up on waivers this week to replace the spot vacated by Darius Slay. All right, let's flip it around real quick. We've talked about the Patriots defense. You mentioned the key name to me, Milton Williams. Him being gone has really affected the interior of that defense. Again, I say the spine of that defense. I think the biggest misstep, and this is not a unique point. I know Joe Marino said it on his all 22 review of the first Patriots matchup. I agree wholeheartedly, but I just wanted to make sure, like, Joe Marino probably said it first. The biggest mistake the Bills made in the first Patriots matchup was trying to come out and not be in their heavy base personnel under center offense. Because even if the Bills had good wide receivers, this would not be a secondary you want to attack. Marcus Jones is one of the best slot corners in the league. Still breaks Luka's heart that the Bills didn't wind up with him. Your pre-draft comp of him being Terrence McGee is just playing out pretty nicely for him. He got paid, good for him. Christian Gonzalez is fantastic. And then on the other side, by the way, they have Carlton Davis, who can also play man and shut it down. I think the Bills' best advantage in this game is on the interior when they come out in 12 personnel, even 13 personnel, get all three tight ends and Reggie Gilliam, run the ball under center, and then do under center play action. And let's see if Bob Spillane can keep up with Dalton Kincaid. And let's see if they can cover Dawson Knox, who had kind of a revised role to his receiving game last week. And let's see how they do with Ty Johnson and James Cook that's kind of come alive out of the backfield. To me, these wide receivers this week, this is not the week to assume that Keon Coleman's going to go off. His snaps are going way down anyway. They are running for love of the game routes. Your job is to get the cornerback as far away from where the ball is going to be thrown and get out of the way. And that is what your job is out there. You like that?
For the love of the game routes.
I think the first person I heard say that, I think, was Eric Turner. I think that's an actual term. But when he said it, I loved it. Like, for the love of the game.
You're out there just to run routes for the fun of running routes. Have fun.
Yeah, like, go deep. You're not getting the ball, but go deep. All right. Defensively, though, I do expect the Bills to have some success in this game. One, they have Josh Allen. Two, I don't think this is an elite defense by any means. I expect this, if he's healthy, to be a big Kincaid game, and I expect the Patriots to have a really hard time stopping James Cook. I think this is going to be a massive James Cook game, both as a receiver and as a runner. Where do you see the Bills match up offensively versus the Patriots like?
The Bills, it's funny. The matchup for Bills to Patriots, to me, is secondary. The conversation for the Bills offense, simply put, is you are living inside the numbers. You are living in that world from here on out inside those numbers. And what that means is whatever's in the backfield, whether it's one running back, two running back, I don't give a shit. And then if it's any tight end out there that's lined up, you're going to be probably the primary target in this situation. Maybe Khalil Shakir can also be in that conversation for anything that involves him in the slot. That is going to be the Bills offense if they want any level of success for the remainder of this season. That there is nothing else that can happen for you on the boundary. There's no game plan that I believe that can exist for this team to be successful outside of anything like that. I think what we saw against the Bengals is both worlds coming together, where it's This is the Bills offense that can truly get them on a run that it needs to. And also the Bengals defense is pretty damn bad. So you're seeing it at its highest level. So it's one of those things where I believe they can duplicate that, almost that level of success against anyone if they just fully commit to the reality of this is how we control games. This is how we move the chains. This is how we find, the results we want week in, week out, and be successful on the offensive side of the ball. You talk about these for the love of the game routes. That is, the wide receiver room week in, week out should be like, what routes do we feel like will be fun ones to throw at the corners this week? You want to be doing a lot of, 10-yard comebacks. You want to be doing a lot of post routes this week. You want to be doing a lot of go routes. You want to just keep it simple, some short curls. Just, you know what? You don't want to be running too much, because effectively, to me, that is the only time receivers are going to be getting the ball, in my opinion, or at least over 70% of the time getting the ball, are going to be broken down plays, Josh Allen scramble drill, and all of a sudden you found yourself open. That is a Bills receiver getting open in 2025.
And that's where you want Gabe Davis and Shakir out there, because they know how to read Josh Allen.
Bingo. You want the guys who just understand how to turn their head around as quick as possible. And when they see Josh Allen moving, they know where he wants them to go. They know where to find the pockets of space best, and he will get them the ball if it's there. That is the Bills offense with wide receivers. So if anything game plan wise is there, anything when it comes to structure and, a play calling level that you're like, hey, this is what we have the mindset of going into. It's not even about the matchup with the Patriots. It's not even going to be about the matchup against the Eagles in a couple of weeks or the Browns next week. It's like, this is what we're going to do to be successful moving forward. So let's get pretty effing good at it. And we're going to just live in between the numbers and just live in this space. Josh Allen under center, a lot of play action off of it. You're sucking those linebackers in, whatever it is, just live in that space, because nothing else will find success against anyone, let alone the Patriots or the Broncos or people you will be playing in the playoffs.
Texans.
God.
All right, Luka, it's prediction time. We know the matchup. We know the stakes. The Patriots have moved to a 1.5 point favorite. Who wins this game and why?
So I thought the Bills opening up as a favorite, and I want to start there, as being an odd one. I think in our recording, you played Guess That Line, or Whose Line Is It Anyway with me. And I had said Patriots -3.5, I want to say, is what my head was at. It then in turn opened up at Bills -1.5. I just, for those listening, it's just, I can understand why the books favorited the Bills. And I can also understand why the public is now tipping the scale all the way to the point where now the Patriots are 1.5 point favorites. But as I sit here day in, day out, and I'm just thinking about this game, if the Bills are doing what we've seen them do the last couple of weeks and truly understand how they can be successful, what they are doing to be successful, both sides of the ball that matter, the opponent doesn't matter to me. And on top of it, we talked about it, this Patriots team doesn't scream just superiority to the Bills. And the only thing that tips the scale for me is the Bills have Josh Allen, who's been there, done it, and understands how valuable a win and wins at this time of year can truly be as you go into the postseason. And the Patriots just have never been here before. I love this position for the Bills. I just think there's a lot to like about this matchup individually, but then I believe that this team is understanding that they are trying to build momentum going into a postseason where they need to just find themselves, understand who they are, and just operate in that space. And everything we talked about tonight, or, that I mentioned about the offense should just be living in between the numbers and all that. I think that is true and where they will be. And I find this team ending up with a win 27 to, we'll go with 23. I think that is just where this will end up in Foxborough. And then again, I will also add this. I don't believe the Bills end up winning the division. I don't think this will all of a sudden magically change that. I think the Patriots are too good to end up losing to the Brady Cook Jets or the Tua Dolphins in week 18. The Ravens game could be a coin flip. We'll call it. It is on the road for them, but it's a little too much too late. But this could be that game that truly we see the Bills are still the Bills. And, we'll probably see this matchup for a third time in the postseason if things are going the way that they are. So yeah, I'll go with Bills 27-23. I like the way it's kind of seeing itself, or how I'm seeing it, and the way it's kind of filtering itself through. I like Josh Allen. I like this offense just to figure it out and keep doing what they are finding success in. And the defense is honestly, in my opinion, for the last month, a lot better than what we kind of have remembered them as an entire season collective, that they should be able to take care of business on that side.
When you look at this matchup, there's a lot of things that you would think would favor the Patriots. They're coming off of a bye. They're at home, and they did beat the Bills earlier in the year. And then when you start thinking about, well, the Bills should have desperation on their side, because normally the team trailing in the division is more desperate, but really the Patriots are the more desperate team. They're the ones that are neck for neck with the Broncos to see who can get that 1 seed and the bye. I don't know that the Bills, even with the win, would feel like that they were going to win the division. Maybe they do, but they keep themselves alive for it for sure. And all of that to me sets up great for the Bills. I think this is almost as pressure-free of a spot as you can get, considering you're playing a division rival in December that you're chasing in the division. I think the pressure is on New England, and I don't think it's nothing that all season long, as the Patriots keep stacking up wins, the national conversation is, yeah, but who have they beaten? And they did beat the Bills, to their credit. But otherwise, they lost a home game to the Raiders. They lost a home game to the Steelers. It's been the Saints, the Falcons, because they missed an extra point. It's been a lot of the teams that you don't think of as being the elite teams in the league that they've beaten. And they didn't make their schedule. They're just playing who's in front of them. But that's been their reality. So I look at that, and I think that the Patriots are going to be extra motivated to come out and prove they can beat a good team. But I just feel like this is a spot that we have seen these Bills in several times in the Josh Allen, Sean McDermott era. We're going to call it the 2021 game in Foxborough, after earlier in the year when the Bills had lost that monsoon game where they figured out too late in the game that Josh Allen can throw it through that kind of wind. The 2023 game in Miami where the Bills trailed for the division all season long, caught up within one game of the Dolphins, and then beat them in Miami to win the division. We've seen the Bills remind you who they are, and that this is still their division. And I do like their chances in this game. Ultimately, I think this is going to come down to a third rematch, a three match, if you will, where these teams are going to do battle in the playoffs. And that's the one where I really would like the Bills to just win it and say, hey, congrats on your big division banner there, but we're going to go ahead and move on in the playoffs. You can go home and look at your division t-shirts. But I'm going to take the Bills in this spot. I think this is a team that thrives on being doubted. The best games they've played this year are when people expect them to do poorly. The Ravens, they came back and beat Lamar. They beat the Chiefs. They beat Joe Burrow. They beat Baker Mayfield. They lose to Davis Mills. Davis Mills. They lose to... So I'm not saying that like that's some secret sauce or whatever, but when this team's backs are against the wall, you usually get the best version of them, and I still believe the best version of the Bills beats the best version of the Patriots. I'm going to go a little bit out there. I'm going to say the Bills win this game 31-16. I think it's going to be one of those games that the Bills win. They win comfortably, and then the conversation the rest of the way, regardless of who wins the division, is, okay, Patriots, you have to show us against a good team and when it counts.
Wow. 31-16, Josh. I was about to, you ended the point too quick for me to even look it up, but if you wanted to bet a correct score on that, I bet you'd get a pretty good penny on that score line right there. Yeah, it's just one of those games where I think your point about back against the wall is a great one. I think it's so funny to me how you never really see these bad runs for the Bills in this era happen later in the season. It kind of goes with the Joe Burrow stat that we saw last week, where he rarely loses in December and he's actually great in sub 40 temperatures and things like that. And it's like, as funny as it is that stat exists, it's like, well, most of the time that's when those great teams with great quarterbacks get rolling and understand the importance of momentum. And it's why you never see Patrick Mahomes lose in December. It's why you never see Lamar Jackson lose in December, it feels like. And Josh Allen, of course, is in that conversation. It's just those teams that are in it year in, year out generally are the ones that this is the time where their back is against the wall. Maybe not when it comes to playoffs or no playoffs, but they understand that these are the games when you truly need to start getting in rhythm, getting in motion, and take that momentum into the playoffs when it truly is a one-off. You better win that effing game. Like, that is great teams and great quarterbacks understand the levels to that. And I think the Patriots, as good as their season has been, they just haven't had to deal with that level of adversity. The most adversity they've dealt with this year is the Bucks game that they had. And really, the Bucks kind of handed it to them a little bit. I'm not saying that they fully gave it away. The Patriots earned to win that, but it's just one of those ones where I just think the Patriots haven't truly been punched in the mouth yet. And I think this is that. It's not even a punch in the mouth, although a 31-16 scoreline surely would be a punch in the mouth. This is where a reality check can finally be there for the Patriots, and they truly understand that, hey, you got to earn it at this time of year, and the Bills fully understand that, and you are still trying to learn that as a collective. And I bet you if the Patriots even lose this game, Josh, and I'll kick it back to you, but I bet you if the Patriots even end up losing this game, I don't think Vrabel is going to be too upset about it. Like, Vrabel feels like the kind of football guy. One, I talked about earlier. He understands the end. He understands what the truly what matters and what doesn't. But it's one of those things where when everything's going too damn well, you just need one of those kind of moments that can reset things to hopefully get to that end goal that you want a team to get to. So, yeah, we'll it'll be interesting to see what comes Sunday, but I think we're both in a similar mindset where we're feeling good about the Bills because of certain things that the Patriots just don't necessarily bring to the table. It feels like.
No bones about it says the Bills outplayed the Patriots in every facet of the game last time. 11 penalties, 3 turnovers were the difference. I agree. Now, we've seen that is in the Bills' bag to lose a game because of turnovers, and that can certainly happen. But I do agree with you. It was more of a giveaway than a takeaway by the Patriots. I realized, Luka, that my dad was watching on YouTube. Josh is an idiot. Dad, I didn't know you had YouTube. I know. Carlos Wheeler. Look, buddy, I don't need you to tell me I'm an idiot. I have plenty of people in my life who will tell me I'm an idiot, but I do appreciate you watching. Hey, while you're there, Carlos, or anybody on YouTube, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It means the world to us. If you want to see more idiotic takes out of me, hey, whatever it takes, you can go see our reaction when the Bills traded out of the spot that ultimately became Xavier Worthy. And now that seems like kind of a pillow fight between those two receivers. But anyway, Luka, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I just can't wait for this. And honestly, Bills winning, just for anyone that doesn't know, the Chiefs can officially be eliminated if the Bills beat the Patriots. The Texans beat those lovely Cardinals that like to lose games in all sorts of fashions. And I believe it's the Jags over someone. I believe that is the other one. I can't remember who the Jaguars are playing. I don't believe. If those 3 outcomes happen, and then also the Chiefs, I do believe maybe the Chiefs result doesn't matter in this case. That's the one I can't remember. If the Chiefs lose as well, it would just be icing on the cake. They would be officially out of the playoffs, and everyone can sit there and just kind of breathe a deep sigh of relief and understanding that we'll never hear that Patrick Mahomes makes every single AFC championship. We won't have to see the Chiefs in any sort of path to the Super Bowl for the Bills and Josh Allen when they hopefully make it this season. And just know that life could be worse if you were a Chiefs fan. So it's a great time to be a Bills fan comparatively, and I very much look forward to this game Sunday.
Any chance to see the Chiefs not go to 4 straight Super Bowls is something all Bills fans should be cheering for. My guy chimes in one more time. Okay, and the Bills didn't win the Bengals game. Bengals with an A. Burrow gave the game away. Yeah. I don't know if you watched the game. Taron Johnson literally fell down in the snow when he was running toward the end zone, and then James Cook fumbled it into the end zone. So there was plenty of giveaway on both. But again, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. And then also, no bones about it, Burrow didn't give away anything. Benford took it. Absolutely right. Although I was a little disappointed Benford didn't win Defensive Player of the Week this week. Happy to see it for Rasul Douglas in Miami, but we know how it goes. They're not going to give it to 2 people on the same team. They almost never do that. All right, Luka, let's get out of here. We'll be back on Monday morning, anywhere you get your podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and we'll be back with a Patriots-Bills breakdown. Ismailise, we always appreciate you hanging out here. And we know we'll see you next time as well. Have a great night. I will be back at halftime. Hopefully it's a happy halftime. They have not been recently. I keep saying this, and their Bills are always down at halftime. But this time I feel better about it. I hope. But I'll be there live at halftime. Ismaelis is always there, and we have a bunch of people in there ready to vent, ready to chat. I have a good time with it. And then Luka and I will be back next week. Help me out, Luka. What's the game next week? Browns?
Browns, baby.
Myles Garrett. Yikes. All right. Well, for Luka, I am Josh McCarty. We will talk to you next week on Bills Chat Live.